What if a country could overwhelm you with beauty before you even understand it? Italy doesn't wait to impress you. It surrounds you immediately. One moment, you're standing beneath the dome of Florence. The next, you're face to face with a Roman statue carved thousands of years ago. The air smells of espresso, lemon trees, and sea salt. Laundry dances above medieval alleys. A Vespa zips past a fading fresco. And somewhere nearby, someone is laughing over a glass of wine that took generations to perfect. This is Italy, alive in its ruins, its rooftops, its rituals. You'll wander vineyards once walked by saints, swim where emperors once ruled, and taste dishes that carry entire regions in a single bite. It's not just beautiful, it's unforgettable. Let's begin our journey through Italy together. The journey through Italy begins in a city that didn't just witness the Renaissance, it unleashed it. Florence welcomes you like a canvas already in motion. You step into Piazza del Duomo, and the scene is overwhelming. Giotto's bell tower rising to the sky. The cathedral's marble facade glowing pink and green in the morning light, and above it all, Brunelleschi's dome, an architectural miracle that still defies belief. But beauty in Florence is never just one thing. Cross the Arno River and the city softens. On the Ponte Vecchio, gold glints from ancient shop windows, suspended over water like an echo from another century. A few minutes later, you're in Oltrarno, where artisans still craft wood, paper, and leather by hand. No glass walls, no spotlights, just the slow rhythm of tradition. Then there's the art. At the Uffizi, Botticelli's Birth of Venus still stirs something eternal. Around the corner, Michelangelo's David stands as if time paused mid-breath. These works aren't behind velvet ropes, they're part of Florence's bloodstream. Hungry? Head to Mercato Centrale, where the smell of truffle pasta and Florentine steak drifts between butcher stalls and wine counters. Grab a cone of gelato that tastes like it was invented yesterday. And if you want to see the city glow, climb to Piazzale Michelangelo, where all of Florence unfolds beneath you in the golden light. Rome greets you like a story already in motion. Traffic hums around fountains older than entire cities. A Vespa glides past cafe tables where espresso cools beside open guidebooks. And then it happens. The Colosseum, larger than memory, alive with echoes. You're not just looking at history here, you're walking through it. The Roman Forum still traces the pulse of an empire, and Palatine Hill blooms with wildflowers where palaces once stood, views stretching across rooftops and ruins. Just beyond, the Pantheon opens like a secret. Its perfect dome and silent light through the oculus make everything feel still for a moment, and then the streets pull you back in. Trastevere hums with music and clinking glasses. In the Jewish quarter, the scent of fried artichokes lingers in the air. Around Campo de' Fiori, the day's market fades into night. Follow the sound of water, and you'll find the Trevi Fountain glowing with legend. Cross into Vatican City, and art becomes sacred. Raphael's rooms, the Sistine Chapel, and St. Peter's Basilica, towering in light and stone. Evenings here don't end. From Janiculum Hill, Rome stretches forever. Terracotta domes, golden light, and stories on every street. Venice doesn't reveal itself all at once. It unravels slowly, like a dream you step into while awake. The Grand Canal is where it begins, not with traffic or noise, but with silence and reflection. A vaporetto glides between marble palaces, Cadoro, still laced with traces of gold, and the domes of Santa Maria della Salute, rising like a prayer at the edge of the lagoon. Built on 118 islands, bound by more than 400 bridges, Venice is a maze of moments, each turn a scene that doesn't repeat. You pass beneath the Rialto Bridge, where markets still buzz and gondolas drift under its ancient arch. Then, a shadowed alley opens suddenly into the brilliance of Piazza San Marco. The basilica is a storybook in stone, Byzantine mosaics, golden ceilings, and domes echoing with centuries of faith. Inside the Doge's palace, you walk where power once moved silently through gilded chambers, and across the Bridge of Sighs, prisoners once caught their last glimpse of sunlight. But the real Venice lives in its quiet corners. On a gondola, the city leans in, reflected in green water, whispering through old shutters and peeling paint. You don't just see Venice, you dissolve into it. And beyond the main island, the colors change again. On Burano, laundry flutters between houses painted like lemon, mint, and rose. On Murano, glassblowers shape molten fire into fragile wonders, craft that flickers between memory and invention. The first sound is the sea, restless, blue, and closer than you expect. In Cinque Terre, you don't just explore a destination, you move through a living canvas where each village adds a different brushstroke. Rio Maggiore clings to the cliffs with quiet drama. Down by the marina, fishing boats rock gently beside sea-sprayed stone steps, and from above, the view stretches over rooftops stacked like puzzle pieces. Just beyond, Manarola waits in color. The best way to see it? From the famous viewpoint along the trail, where the pastel buildings seem to spill straight into the sea. At sunset, it's like watching a painting come alive. Corniglia is different. Tucked high above the coast, it's the only one without a harbor, so you climb. But the reward is silence, space, and views that stretch past vineyards all the way to the horizon. Then comes Vernazza, where life spills into the piazza beside the water. Hike up to the old Doria castle for a postcard-perfect view, or stay below for a glass of local Chiacchietra wine and fresh pesto on focaccia. By the time you reach Monterosso al Mare, the cliffs soften and the beach opens wide. It's the only village with true sand, lined with umbrellas, gelato shops, and a slow rhythm that welcomes you to stay longer. Between them, the Sentiero Azzurro Trail links it all together, sometimes steep, often stunning. And the local train dives in and out of tunnels carved through stone, offering glimpses of sea and sky in flashes. We've now arrived in the Dolomites, where Italy trades piazzas for peaks and church bells for cowbells. Rising like ancient fortresses from the alpine meadows, these jagged limestone giants stretch across northeastern Italy, forming one of Europe's most dramatic landscapes. But this isn't just a place for hikers and skiers. It's a storybook of nature, carved by glaciers and lit by golden hour light that locals call enrossadera, when the mountains blush pink at dusk. Your journey might begin at Lago di Braies, where emerald waters mirror forested cliffs and wooden rowboats drift like they've stepped out of a painting. Then there's Tre Cime di Lavaredo, 3 towering spires that draw climbers, photographers and dreamers from across the world. The trails here aren't just scenic, they're soul-shaking. You'll cross wildflower fields, past grazing sheep, and look out over valleys that seem to stretch into another lifetime. In Val di Funes, time slows. Tiny chapels sit quietly beneath soaring cliffs, and hikers move between alpine huts that serve fresh speck, polenta, and apple strudel straight from the stove. The views are breathtaking, but so is the silence. And it's not all wilderness. Villages like Ortisei and Cortina d'Ampezzo blend rustic charm with mountain luxury. Wooden chalets glow in the evening light, local artisans carve traditional Ladin designs, and cable cars whisk you from cafes to summits in minutes. Some landscapes don't need introduction. They just open like a curtain, and the Amalfi Coast is one of them. From the moment the road begins to twist above the sea, it feels like you're driving through a painting that somehow became real. Tucked along 50 kilometers of cliffs and lemon groves, this coastline strings together some of Italy's most breathtaking towns. Positano is the first to pull you in. Its pastel houses cascading downward like petals, all the way to the beach where boats bob like confetti. From above, it's a postcard. From below, it's a maze of steps, boutiques and terraces draped in bougainvillea. Further along, Amalfi waits, once a powerful maritime republic, now a place where you can step straight into history. The Cathedral of Sant'Andrea, with its striped facade and ancient crypt, watches over a piazza where the smell of fresh sfogliatella floats through the air. Take the ferry, or follow the narrow road to Ravello, a hilltop escape above the clouds. Here, you'll find Villa Ruffolo and Villa Simbrone, where gardens meet infinity balconies and chamber music echoes through the olive trees. Down by the water, hidden coves and beaches appear between the cliffs. Some like Fiordo di Furore, feel almost like secrets, only accessible to those who know where to look. Others, like Marina di Praia, are perfect for a slow lunch with your feet nearly in the sea. You arrive in Capri by sea, and that's exactly how it should be. The cliffs rise suddenly, carved by time and softened by sun, and for a moment, it feels like you're approaching a secret. Capri has been a refuge for emperors, poets, and wanderers for centuries, and somehow it still feels untouched. The boat docks at Marina Grande, where pastel houses lean toward the harbor and fishermen untangle nets in the shadows of sailboats. From here, a red funicular threads its way up to Capri town, where narrow stone lanes open into sunlit courtyards and the scent of lemon trees follows you everywhere. This island isn't big, just over 6 square kilometers, but in that space, it hides an entire world. You'll walk through the gardens of Villa San Michele, where marble statues gaze out over the sea, and climb the Phoenician steps, ancient and uneven, to reach Capri, the quiet soul of the island. From here, the chairlift to Monte Solaro lifts you above it all. At the summit, you see why painters gave up trying to capture it. The Faraglioni rocks rising like monuments from the water, the coastline unraveling into the haze, Vesuvius sitting in the distance like a story waiting to be told. You can sail into the Blue Grotto, where sunlight bends through an underwater cavity and turns the water neon blue. Or simply drift around the island by boat, slipping under stone arches and past villas hidden in green cliffs. We've now arrived in Tuscany, where even the wind seems to carry stories. The roads through Valdorcia stretch like painted lines through golden hills, framed by cypress trees and sun-drenched vineyards. Every curve leads to something timeless. In Pienza, piazzas glow under warm light, and the scent of pecorino fills the air. Montalcino and Montepulciano are more than wine towns. They're where Brunello matures slowly in cellars carved into the hillside. In San Miniato, locals still hunt for white truffles beneath the forest floor. Tuscany isn't only about wide landscapes, it's about human scale. In Lucca, you can cycle atop its intact city walls and gaze down into a town that still keeps rhythm by its church bells. In Arezzo, a quiet chapel holds some of Italy's most beautiful Renaissance frescoes, untouched by crowds. The charm deepens in Chianti, where long lunches unfold under climbing vines. Wine is poured without a label, food is served like a memory. And at Saturnia, natural hot springs cascade into travertine pools, warm and wild beneath open sky. By the time you reach Cortona, everything feels woven together: art, food, land, and light. From the hilltop, the view flows all the way to Lake Trasimeno, and the entire valley seems to pause just for you. Some cities are shaped by stone. Siena is shaped by rivalry, rhythm, and ritual. Tucked into the hills of Tuscany, it's a place where the streets twist not by accident, but by centuries of tradition. You feel it the moment you enter the old gates, each district or contrada proudly marked with its own flag, its own animal, its own fierce spirit. At the center, Piazza del Campo fans out like a sunburst, graceful, balanced, yet made for chaos twice a year. During the Palio, the whole square becomes an explosion of hooves and heart, as horses fly past cheering crowds and age-old pride plays out in a blur of color and dust. Not far above, Siena's cathedral pulls you upward with its striped marble facade and spiraling dome. Inside, it's not just beautiful, it's overwhelming. The marble floor is a masterpiece, with 56 inlaid panels telling stories from centuries past. And just across the square, the Santa Maria della Scala complex peels back layers of history. Once a hospital for pilgrims, now a museum of tunnels, frescoes, and faith. Wander the quieter streets and you'll find workshops still crafting hand-painted ceramics and cafes that smell like almond and espresso. Taste the local pizzi pasta, slow-cooked ragu, or the sweet ricciarelli cookies that melt with a hint of candied orange. Lake Garda enters quietly, shimmering between the Alps and the plains, as if Italy paused here to breathe. This is the country's largest lake, but it never feels overwhelming. Instead, it unfolds in chapters, each town along the shore a different mood, a different pace of life. In the south, Sirmione waits on a slender peninsula, its entrance guarded by a 13th century castle that rises straight out of the water. Beyond the drawbridge, the old town is a maze of cobbled lanes, thermal spas and gelaterias facing the waves. At the very tip lies the Grotte di Catullo, ruins of a Roman villa clinging to the edge of the lake. Sail north and everything sharpens. Mountains close in and the breeze grows bolder, perfect for windsurfers carving across the water. In Malsicine, a cable car whisks you from the lakeside to the summit of Monte Baldo, where hiking trails stretch above the clouds and the entire lake unfolds like a mirror below. Then there's Limone sul Garda, tucked into steep cliffs and still scented with lemons. Or Riva del Garda, where alpine peaks meet olive groves and cyclists cruise along lakeside paths before diving into plates of fresh lake fish and local wine. The best way to explore it all? By ferry, drifting between towns, watching castles, cypresses, and church towers pass by like scenes from a watercolor. At dusk, the water catches every gold and violet hue, and the shoreline glows with quiet life. There's a moment just before entering the Sassi of Matera, when the world seems to fall away behind you. What rises ahead feels almost prehistoric. A city carved from stone, layer by layer, into the soft limestone cliffs of Basilicata. Matera isn't built on the land, it's in it. Some of the cave homes here have been lived in continuously for over 9,000 years, making this one of the oldest inhabited cities in the world. But it's not just the history, it's how it surrounds you. As you step into narrow alleyways and follow staircases that lead nowhere and everywhere, You're walking through a living labyrinth of churches, cisterns, and homes, all carved from the same pale rock. The best way to explore? Start in the Sassi Barisano and head toward the more ancient Sasso Caveoso. Stop inside Casa Grotta di Vico Solitario, a preserved cave dwelling showing how families once lived underground. Then climb to the church of Santa Maria de Idris, built dramatically into a rock outcrop with sweeping views of the gorge below. As evening light stretches across the rooftops, the city glows with a golden stillness. It's no wonder filmmakers from The Passion of the Christ to the latest James Bond movie chose Matera to tell epic stories. It already feels like one. It only takes a few steps into the sun-drenched streets of Puglia to realize this is a different Italy. In the first morning light, the whitewashed walls of Ostuni glow like chalk under a Mediterranean sky. Locals sip espresso in alleyways carved by centuries, and the scent of baked focaccia drifts from open windows. Head south, and the rooftops begin to shift. Suddenly, you're in Alberobello, where fairy tale truly houses dot the hills like stone mushrooms. Every corner feels hand-shaped, lived in, and timeless. Then comes Lecce, where the facades bloom with intricate Baroque detail, and even a short walk feels like a journey through sculpture. But Puglia's charm isn't only in its towns. It stretches along the Adriatic coast, where Polignano a Mare balances above turquoise waters, and secret coves like Torre dell'Orso hide below limestone cliffs. You can float between sea and stone, watching the coastline unfurl in every shade of blue. Inland, time slows. Stay in a restored masseria, where olive groves stretch to the horizon and dinner is made with ingredients grown just steps away. Try burrata at the source, listen to crickets in the silence between villages, and follow back roads that lead to nowhere and everywhere. And for something wilder, venture to the Gargano Peninsula, where forests spill down to hidden beaches and sea caves carve into chalk cliffs. It's a quieter chapter of Puglia, but just as unforgettable. Sicily breaks every rule of what an island should be. One moment you're wandering ancient Greek ruins, the next you're eating street food in a city that never sleeps. Palermo grabs your senses from the start, chaotic, raw, unforgettable. Walk through the alleys of Ballarò Market, where vendors shout over the scent of grilled octopus and fresh citrus, and someone hands you a hot arancina with a smile that needs no translation. Then head east to Taormina, where balconies spill over cliffs and the ancient theatre frames Mount Etna like a stage prop. Cefalù brings a quieter charm, with its honey-colored cathedral and fishermen mending nets by the shore. And Etna, Sicily's beating heart of fire, never stays still. Hike its black slopes, or just watch it smolder from a rooftop at dusk, wineglass in hand. The island's southern edge unravels history. Explore the Valley of the Temples, where golden columns still guard the silence of centuries. Make time for Noto and Ragusa, where Baroque facades glow at sunset, and every corner smells of almonds and espresso. Then cool off at Scala dei Turchi, where white limestone steps descend into turquoise sea, a spot that feels like it belongs to another planet. You don't need a map to find your way in Bologna. Just follow the scent of slow-cooked ragu and the echo of footsteps beneath ancient arches. From the moment you step into Piazza Maggiore, the city invites you in with red brick warmth and a rhythm that feels both scholarly and soulful. This is a place where the oldest university in Europe hums beneath the surface, and where students, artists and locals gather beneath the shadow of the Asinelli and Garisenda towers, Bologna's leaning sentinels. Beneath them, streets wind into the Quadrilatero market, a living mosaic of fresh tortellini, aged Parmigiano, and shopfronts buzzing with conversation. And the food, it's not spaghetti bolognese here, it's tagliatelle al ragù, born from tradition and perfected with pride. Pair it with a glass of Lambrusco, and suddenly you're part of the city's daily ritual. To the west, the Portico di San Luca, the world's longest, guides you gently uphill toward the Santuario della Madonna di San Luca. Each arch tells a story. Each step brings you closer to a panoramic view that stretches from the medieval rooftops to the rolling hills of Emilia-Romagna. In the evening, head to Via Zamboni, where student cafes spill out into the streets and aperitivo chatter fills the air. Bologna doesn't just show you its history, it lets you live it, one slow bite and warm conversation at a time. Naples charges at you with color, noise, and life. The first thing you notice isn't the views of Mount Vesuvius, it's the rhythm. Horns, footsteps, scooters, voices. This city moves like music you can't turn off. As the final stop on our journey through Italy, Naples doesn't hold back. Down Spaccanapoli, the heart of the old city, everything blurs together. Ancient churches, street shrines, sizzling stalls selling deep-fried pizza from counters barely bigger than a doorway. Yet just beneath the surface, silence waits. In Napoli Sotterranea, narrow staircases lead into shadowy tunnels carved by the Greeks, expanded by the Romans, and used as shelters during war. A city under a city, layered, worn, unforgettable. Above ground, the past never feels far. Atop Castel Sant'Elmo, you see it all. Vesuvius looming, the sea glittering, and the tangle of rooftops that seem to climb over each other just to catch the light. On clear days, you can trace the coast all the way to Pompeii, still haunting in its silence, its frescoes and streets frozen in time. But Naples doesn't live in its history. It dances through it. In Galleria Umberto I, morning light pours through the domed glass roof as shoppers and schoolkids pass beneath marble columns. Around the corner, Piazza del Plebiscito opens wide, a moment of calm before diving back into the chaos. Thank you for joining us on this unforgettable journey through Italy. From the timeless beauty of Florence to the vibrant chaos of Naples. We've wandered ancient ruins, sailed along sunlit coasts, and uncovered stories hidden in hilltop towns and seaside villages. Which part of Italy captured your heart the most? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear what spoke to you. If this journey inspired your next adventure, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss what's next. Safe travels, and remember, the world is waiting for you. One unforgettable destination at a time.